We are officially live. And so definitely go to my Facebook page, share this interview because you're not going to want to miss this. Even the replay is going to be so much value. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Dr. Evingerlean. Evingerlean. You gotta give us the right. You gotta give us the right.
Yeah, I'm glad my grandma ain't watching.
Dr. E for sure.
Dr. E. There we go.
But thank you, Dr. E, for being here for this Women's History Month as we share amazing women who have impacted not just the lives of many, but also my life. I want to first open up this conversation with saying, like, we opened this door last year, really just a phone call, like, yo, you dope, I'm dope, let's talk. And we had so many commonalities, so much like of a journey of life to getting to this point. And so I'm so excited to be able to share Dr. Eve with you all again. Share this on your Facebook page. This is going to be an amazing event. Also, ask any questions in the chat of Dr. Eve. She is going to be giving us all the tea, and I'll be asking those questions for you. Dr. Eve, how are you, my friend?
Well, Brother Dar, I'm well. Glad to be in this space with you. And I'm just going to go ahead and just shout out to Scoot and Vanna. The mutual homies. I know that, when you know good people and to know that good people know good people. And I know that helped us to bond to even have that connection with those two. And they're just rock stars, right? But I'm well, and I appreciate you for bringing me into your space.
He texted me last night and was like, Eve, I was like, honestly, she was like, yo, Scoot and Vanna. So I was like, you must be cool. And so I was like, yeah, those are my people, right? Yeah. And so, yes, shout out to Shaw University, right? Good people bring good people together.
Yes.
And that's important, right? Because we was just talking, right? As a Black man, I think it's important for me to illuminate voices of women of color, Black women, right? To ensure that we are creating these communities that allow that we can see that we are in spaces that like show love, gratitude, appreciation, right? It's not always about this transactional relationship. And so, what's on your heart, Dr. E? What do you want to tell the folks? What are you feeling? I'm gonna follow you.
So since you started with you being a Black man and helping to illuminate voices of Black women, that's significant, right? Here's a space where I think about somebody who's been really significant in my life is Dr. Donald Mitchell. He goes by DJ Donald Mitchell Jr., to get it right.
Laker for a lifetime.
And he's good people. I just took a VP role of, diversity, equity, inclusion up in New York and at Malloy. But years ago, when I was in grad school, somebody who I just reconnected with, he too went to Shaw. And I remember him saying to me, it's not my job to get in your way as a Black woman. I'm here to do whatever I can to lift you. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, what? Like, we're talking about research and just career and all kind of stuff. He said, so whatever you want to do, I'm here to support you in that. You see how Shaw just nurtures? I'm here to support you in that because as a Black man, I understand that there are barriers for me and there are even more barriers for you. So how can we help each other? Ooh. That changed the game for me. Changed my whole perspective of how I thought about, my connections and relationships with, Black men outside of my husband. I was somebody who grew up with my grandfather as my father figure. And to understand, like, what did my relationship with Black men look like and what did it mean? Was it one where men only took? Or was it one where I was expected to carry the load, but we not carrying the load, right? Him telling me that was what has driven me in thinking about my expectations for Black men outside of even my circle. So if you're not lifting me, because if you don't understand that it's not about what I can just do for you, but what we can do for each other. We talk about the Black family and why the Black family isn't what it used to be, why it's fallen apart. There's so many things, but we have to see each other as I'm here to be your helpmate. My husband, said, you're my helpmate, but I'm his too. So it's a mutuality in being able to navigate life and not just, oh, can you put me onto this? Let me buy this shirt. You need this service. I don't even know you.
Right.
I don't even know you. And then you're gonna, not all, but my perspective, it's for you to come in and say, how can I lift you too? I have these opportunities and I see you. And how can I lift you too? Because if I eat, you eat. So many of us eat. And that's what this kind of space is doing today, Dar.
Yo, oh my God. So you hit on so many good, I mean, I just learned that, right? My father figure is my grandfather too, right? Like
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
oh my God, right? Like I mean, a lot of folks don't even know I was born Johnson, was Johnson all the way up until I was 30, until I was about to have my own kid. And I'm like thinking about who I really am. Right. And it wasn't until I'm like, I want to pass on the name of the family that raised me.
Ooh.
Right. And that was my Mayweather family. That is my grandfather. Like, waking up on Saturday mornings, he's already outside cutting the lawn, teaching me how to do plumbing. My granddad at 70 some years old literally helped me lift a couch over my balcony on my first apartment. Right. Like, so knowing, like, just hearing that type of like relationship that you have with a man, that is important, right? Because that allows us to set expectation. And you talked about having expectation for Black men. So like, what is the expectation for Black men that are like, just might be seeing this, might be hearing this, might need to hear a word from an amazing Dr. E, right? Like what you got for them?
What you bring to the table is enough. And it's not for you to compete with any woman or any man for that matter, but to compete with yourself and be the good, better, best version of who you are. I'm not a Black man, but I think not to be intimidated. I mean, we know that Black women at much higher rates are going to get education. Black women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in the country. So it's not about the intimidation or you're not enough, but bring what you bring to the table. And be confident in that, because I'm gonna tell you what's sexy to a woman who know better. It ain't just money. It ain't just how you put the thing down. It's really being holistic and confident and knowing what you bring to the table and saying, here are my strengths, and I know these are your strengths, and let's be strong together. I say one thing about my husband all the time. I love him. Shout out to Dr. Hudson. Not the other Dr. Hudson, the Mr. Dr. Hudson, but Mr. Dr. Hudson and Dr. King. But for me, and he said it to me for years, I'm strong in these things and you strong in these things. So I look to you for this. And I'm like, well, I look to you for this. And you realize you're doing it. And it doesn't make us weak or incapable as people. We are a couple. We are a force together, a powerhouse together, when you can elevate each other's strengths and move mountains. And so again, to Black men, the expectation is to not be intimidated, right? Why expect anything? Because darling, we lie, right? It's holding you to your greatness. Because as a Black woman, I also realize there's few others that's going to do it too. It's holding you to your greatness, because as a Black woman, it's realizing there are few others who are going to do that. Other Black men will. The hope is, especially when you're in brotherhoods, right? All kind of things. But as Black women, it's okay for you to be great, to not be intimidated either by your greatness. And I think, so often the narrative of Black men ends up being something that's just so negative in media. Oh, they being locked up, they this, they're not fathers, they're not that. I'm like, y'all haven't seen a Black man in my circle, have you? Real estate agents, doctors, lawyers, building houses from the ground up, educators, entrepreneurs, doing all kind of stuff, right?
And let's be real. That's because many of them have Black women in their life.
What you trying to say, Dar? If they don't have Black women.
I mean, I'm just saying, shout out to Black mothers, right? Shout out to Black grandmothers, like that really held the community down. And I ain't that old, but 80s, 90s, the centerpiece of all families that I've seen in my neighborhoods were always women, right? And so they have always been the people who have taken the hill perspective, taken the high road, been the ones who centered the children, right? Our growth, our development, our futures. And so like, I appreciate you, like setting us right for the Black men, but I want to also acknowledge, like, I don't think we are even in this position without Black women, right? Just a lot of the men I know have fathers who are locked up, who or in drugs. My father, right, is not present in my life, haven't been present in my life like for a long time. It was a moment I was looking at a picture of my son, like around, he has his arm around my shoulder for the firstborn challenge or whatnot. And I don't have a single picture like that with my father, right? Wow. But I have multiple pictures like that with my grandma, my mom, you know, my aunties, like those folks. And I mean, even shout out to my uncles, right? They were there, but the women, right, have, like my Dr. Rima in my chair, I had her on last week. She was talking about how women has always been the narrative. It's dominance that's wants to stop that from being the narrative, right? And so like, let's talk to these women. I know we got 7 folks on here. Shout out to Mindy Sofer. Shout out to Marquise, right? Shout out to Anthony Wester, right? You know, like appreciate these folks. It was like, yo, my peeps, right? For watching it, like what you got for the women, you know, what, you know, you put it on us for the men. Let's talk to some
You
ladies.
made me do it.
I had to, because I want to get there.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate the space to talk about it because I don't have all the answers, right? But I do have my perspective from my lived experiences, and having conversations is how we even start to heal as Black women and Black men in our communities, right? So thank you for that. But for the women, can't be scared of your light. You can't be afraid to speak up and to do something different and to be bold in your womanhood, in your Black womanhood. There's actually, I've been doing these spotlights through my store, the First Gen Shop. And there's one I'm doing tomorrow. I don't know if she's gonna see this, but I guess it won't be a surprise if she do. But I'm not gonna say who she is, actually. I'm just gonna wait. But the point is that she has helped me to embrace my Black womanhood and my first genness in a way that's unapologetic, right? Because what we are sometimes conditioned to think, especially as Black women, I'm gonna say as Black women because we're a different kind of women, but be quiet, sit in your corner, don't make too much noise, handle your business, right? But if you are loud, you know, if you are outspoken, it's attitude, it's all the perceptions and ways that you're conditioned that being too Black even isn't appropriate. It won't allow you to have that room for success. But then to be a woman and to be a Black woman is this double intersection of being, and then don't throw on first genness or low incomeness or all the other things, right? But as Black women, just kind of hold your tongue and keep the peace and keep it together and carry the weight. But it's not our responsibility. It's a shared responsibility and community. So don't be afraid of your light. Don't be afraid to say, I'm not doing this. Don't be afraid to say, maybe I don't want to have kids. Don't be afraid to say, I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to be a breadwinner. I want to be a boss, right? I told somebody in an interview a few months ago, I didn't grow up thinking about being a pretty princess. That was never a dream in my head. I wanted to be a boss. Okay. And so to marry somebody who's okay with saying, handle your business, boss, you know, do what you do. Like, I wanted to be somebody who, you know, career driven, and I loved being able to move in my career and always have that support. So in that, not being afraid to say, this is who I am. That's what I'm getting at, Dar. Don't be afraid to say, this is who I am. And know that you'll find somebody who can match that energy, but be okay with you being who you are. Because the only way we shift the narrative of what it means to be a Black woman, I mean, beyond being just pillars in the community, is how we show up now and show up different to change the generation that's to come, and to give the generation that's coming, all the generations that are coming, a different perspective of what it means to be a Black woman. Because I was telling you, you know, we talked before, I don't want to get to the end of my life and be the one who, well, you know, she gave her all and this. I want to give my all, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to be worn to my bone because I gave my all and didn't have anything for myself, that I wasn't able to, you know, have peace. Like heart disease is high for us. Blood pressure is high for us. Diabetes is high for us. All the medical things that often come from stress, right? Beyond diet.
Straight up come from stress, anxiety, okay? Right?
Yep, depression, all of it. But then let me hold my tongue and keep my peace and not, you know, shake things up. It's been Black women who've been shaking stuff up for a long time. You know, women of the civil rights movement, through slavery, through entrepreneurship, all kind of things that, you know, they different. They need to stay in their place. And the last thing, oh gosh, I'm gonna tell you what I can't stand to hear is a woman need to stay in her place. What the hell is a woman's place? Because as far as I'm concerned, we've been everywhere always, but because of gender, far too often is our place downplayed, and that's played out.
Like, listen, the place is in the forefront of all civilizations. Right? Let's just be real. There is not a community, a country, or a set of people without women. Right?
The world wouldn't be what it is without women. Women give life.
Like the life breathers, though. Like not just like giving life, but producing stories so that life can be lived. You know, and that's, I think, you know, when I hear you say, you know, like, don't dim your light and, you know, be who you are, what I'm hearing you say is like, accept and appreciate your story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because it is unique. You know, I even see, I got my cousin Diane in the chat, and she said, you grew up wanting that, right? Like, yo, shout out to the, you know, millennial Gen X women out here crushing it. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I grew up on that, you know, I believe I can fly. I mean, I know R. Kelly is canceled and all that stuff, but the reality is, like, I sung that song in the 6th grade. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And so many of us in Black communities did. When we graduated from elementary school or middle school, we sung that song. And it's a lot of it I'm seeing hold true for Black women, right? Most educated per capita in the country. So something is being done right, especially for Black women. I wonder, what do you have any idea? What is it? You know, where's the magic coming from? You know, how, you know,
ancestral, brother. It's ancestral. Did you not know? It's in our blood. But seriously, I said that, you know, jokingly, but so seriously. And it's funny, I'm gonna tell you, because my brain does this thing to where I just make connections. And when you said R. Kelly, I believe I can fly, I was like, well, you got Fantasia, I believe. Yeah, all you had to do was just flip it, right? And no problems. Why though? Because we know we can. Because the world has changed, because the opportunities are there. Like, you just think about it, before there were even like so many, all kind of rights that we've been fighting for years and for decades, right? But for Black women, all you got to do is open up the door and we in there. That's it. Like, it's not that we don't want to, that we can't, but also so many millennials, like you said earlier, we're like, why not? Because we're doing it for family, we're doing it for security, we're doing it for just our own pure excellence and knowing that we can, right? Because grandmas and aunties and mamas have encouraged us to go off and do something different, to go off and my mom told me, and she's okay with me saying it, I know she's okay with me saying it, she's like, I want you to have a better life than me, be better than me. Well, what does that mean? You define what you want for your life and you go live your life. I've lived mine. But because the women from generations prior, you know, are seeing the changes and seeing what's capable, they're coming back and they're instilling in us as well. You can be something different, and you should be if you want to be. And I think that's dynamic. My grandmother, who is, I ain't gonna tell her age, but you know, I'm her namesake. And I remember when I left to move to Mississippi, she was telling me, go live. It wasn't, oh, you can't leave, you shouldn't stay here. When you get married, when you're having a baby, go. And I'm gonna tell you, Dar, that's what I love about my family as a whole. My family, uncles, aunts, like mom, just whoever, they've never told me who I was supposed to be. They let me be whoever I wanted to be. They let me decide how I wanted to grow up in the world. I think it's the first time I'm even saying publicly, I was a little girl who had a race car bed and an MC Hammer doll and a King doll at the same time. So It was never, you know, okay, Hammer time. But for me, it was, I had the Hammer doll. What? You had a Hammer doll? I had a race car bed, and I had a Hammer doll, and I had a King doll and Cabbage Patch. But for me, it was never even about, you supposed to be wearing skirts. You shouldn't be out there fishing with your grandpa and cleaning possums. You know, it was just whatever, you know, be who you are, live your life. And my family across the board, I think that's one of our greatest strengths. Be who you are and show up as you are and be yourself. And you'll figure it out in the world. So in terms of even like the women in strength, my grandmother wasn't like, no pressure. My mom, no pressure. My aunts, no pressure. Do your thing, girl. We proud. And you can always come home. And so I think that's happening in a lot of spaces as well. But again, as women, we have voices, and social media, podcasts, speaking, businesses, we're learning how to use our voices, because if we don't help each other, who gonna help us? That's just what it comes down to.
I mean, say that, right? And I love that you say the help, because what I'm noticing is that women are not afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
You know,
Facts.
right? They're not, the pride is not in the way.
Facts.
Right? You
Facts.
know, it's a, I know I need help. That's why I'm here. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty. I think there's a mindset, right? That I'm just lucky to just have had folks, women in my life who are go-getters, who are super intelligent, who are super accomplished and achieved, who see me as somebody, right? Because I ain't gonna lie, like I was not always this guy, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I understand.
Whew, right?
I understand.
Like the sexism, the misogyny, right? The machismo, that I bought into that for years, right? Thankfully, I have a wife who saw me for more than my mishaps and my mistakes, right? To become the man who I am today, because whoo, I know there was some exes who probably like, I saw this, but geez, that woman's special because she pulled it out. Shout out, I want to say shout out to you first. My mom is on here. She's already like, I'm proud of the younger Black generation. This is definitely the time for you all to shine and help those coming up, right? And so that's a good point. Like, I think we are, I guess, seen as people who are like reaching back and reaching out and trying to create space. But what does that really mean for you? And, you know, Dr. Eve worldwide, right? And all of the endeavors with first gens and Black women and women of many spaces and just folks who are in education. Like, what does that mean for you?
That's what we're doing today.
That we
I mean, I have an answer, but I'm like, okay, let me say this right quick too. I'm still laughing inside because I thought you were about to say shout out to my exes. Shout out to my exes. Shout out to my exes. My bad. So yeah, you know, somebody like, I mean, because I mean, just out of being funny, like, you know, he couldn't be that with me. So it wasn't.
I'm sure they're not thinking that. I'm sure they're not.
Dang, dog. Okay, but so what does it mean? What does it mean? We're gonna put it to bed. It means everything, and it's not to be like just, oh, it's blanketed, but it means to create space and for people to see themselves and to know that they belong and that they matter. I have a belief, I've always had a belief that people believe in what they can see. Why do Black men, young Black men, think they can be president now? And why does a young Black woman even dare think that she can even be a vice president of this country? Because you can finally see it. There's something about spaces, right? Any space, corporate spaces, entrepreneurial spaces, academic spaces, where when you see people who look like you, it feels different. I was watching something on YouTube the other day. I sometimes get lost in the rabbit hole, and Denzel was talking about a movie he was producing. And the lady was like, well, why did you insist on a Black person, you know, being director for this? And he was like, it's culture. He's like, well, you know, don't other people understand culture? He's like, no. He's like, it's culture. He say, what do you understand about a hot comb on a Sunday morning and smelling that, you know, and hearing the burn kind of thing, hearing it sizzle? That's something that's cultural that everybody, I mean, I used at one point in my life, right? But I was like, dang, that's true. But it's cultural because even in how I show up, I mean, notice I've really gotten comfortable in being in a t-shirt. I mean, I got my own brand, right? But like, how do I show up in even my Black womanhood and in my Blackness for the young woman who needs to see that, no, it's not always business suits. I don't feel powerful in a business suit, but you give me denim or you give me some mustard something, a dress, like it depends on what it is. Like, what makes you feel powerful? What can you see that you believe in as first generation folks? You know, to have a doctorate, one of the highest, I mean, the highest academic degree that one can attain. Yep. What does that mean coming from, you know, Charlotte, being born and raised in Hidden Valley? Like, there are so many things you think about. What does it mean? But now it's saying it's possible. It is possible. No, the path may not be just straight and narrow, but it is possible for you to be able to dream and think bigger, but to want more for yourself. So just creating the space. It's about belonging. When I set out to do this work, the intention was never about Black people. And I say that in truth because I want it to be first gen and let me be all inclusive. And first gen, you know, that trumps race and it trumps gender and it trumps social class, and it does in so many ways. But the truth is that over 98% of people who've been on my podcast have been Black. And that wasn't what I was trying to do. It was by nature. As in, because I'm Black, you know, like, wait a minute. But I realized I had created something where there's a space that we can belong and grow and talk. And I'm not excluding others just because those who are drawn to what I'm doing end up being other Black people. And then over 98% of the people who've hired me, who booked me to speak, who's shopping in my store, who are doing anything with my business, even coming to be students in my school, have been Black women. Here I was setting myself up to be able to cross these barriers, right? And be the Beyonce of first gen. But it's like, it's not that I'm not, right? It's not that I'm not doing great work, but my people need something. And I didn't realize that I was one of the ones who would come along and create a space for Black people to exist and safely, and to say, we got this. Because even thinking my show, every person who's been on my show has a college degree. It's for first generation college graduates to come on the show and tell their story. And you think about that. I'm going on episode 209 tonight.
Wow, congratulations.
And thank you. But of that, over the 150 something guests I've had, every last one of them have had a college degree at minimum. It says a lot. So I've created a community where you can look out and say, I see myself and I'll be all right.
Wow. You know, so first, go listen to the podcast, right? Shout out to Evingerlean.
You want me to say the name? Huh? You want me to say that name?
Yes, please. Because
I know. Evangeline. I know. Yeah, I got it from my grandma. It's Evangeline. I'm just sure I don't want to get cussed out. You know, we ain't saying the name right now, but it's not for real. It's Evangeline. I didn't go by it for a long time. Yeah, I didn't go by it for a long time either.
And we will definitely put the links in the chat as well, so folks can go. Like 209 episodes, right? You talked about the path not being straight and narrow, right? Ooh, okay. Like
you felt that?
you're entrepreneur. I'm entrepreneur. A lot of time, folks see us and they just see what they see. They don't see the path.
They don't see
right?
it.
And so talk about the path a little bit, right? Like 209 episodes, Ph.D., husband has a Ph.D., family is doing well, have a worldwide brand, has reached thousands and maybe even millions of people. People want that. People want to have that impact on people's lives, right? But people don't often hear what is the non-narrow and straight path to that, right? And so talk a little about that if you don't mind.
The first year and a half I was in business, I made about $5,000.
Okay, so
$5,000.
If folks, I don't know if folks hearing that, okay? I need folks to really hear that.
The first year and a half, I left my last full-time job it was August of 2016. I had a really big gig thanks to a mentor in April. And I had a few other things in between time that I was doing, like, a little teaching here, a little something here. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't leave my job to pursue entrepreneurship. So I would say to people, I'm an accidental entrepreneur, but I'm like, no, I'm really not. This is the divine assignment for me. But I didn't know it. And what I was looking for in traditional spaces for me in higher education, I didn't find it, but I stepped on out. I mean, I had stacked a few stacks before I had even thought about this, and my husband was fully supportive of it. If you want to do it, I got your back, whatever you need. But everybody thinks that you start off in this thing and, oh, you out here getting it. So for about 2 years, I didn't make money. Now I'm turning 6, and being an entrepreneur this year. Thank you. Thank you.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, I'm turning 6. And, within 6 months, most businesses fail. I think within a year, I think they said 80% of businesses fail. but are you willing to risk big? So for me, I spent time just trying to figure out what I was doing, a business card, a network, a niche, a marketing, a Facebook ad, develop your brand colors. So for me, none of this has been, I came off the bat getting it. So what people see now with Evangeline Worldwide has come from a lot of tears, a lot of heartache, a lot of frustration, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of doing a whole bunch of stuff, trying to figure out what works, to see what works, and then trying to hone in on those things.
Yeah.
And so to finally be there, it's come with several thousands of dollars spent. Several thousands of you like, I didn't even know I had no money like that. Where it come from? But just in development and coaching and branding, like I outsource for my podcast. So I do the recording and I do the interviews, but to have somebody who does the audio engineering, help with the show notes, keeping the website, to have an assistant, to have people to help with marketing, and having to invest, having coaches. I have 3 coaches right now.
Ooh.
Because within my business, Evangeline Worldwide is essentially the parent company, kind of like Johnson & Johnson, right?
Yep.
And then the First Gen Lounge, the First Gen Shop, First Generation University are all subsidiaries of my brand. But what does it take to get there, and having the vision, but not just at the people, but then getting people to buy into you and what you're doing? How many times have I sent a speaking proposal just to learn that we don't have a budget? Years ago, I had my book adopted by an institution. It came out, and within that month it was adopted. I was, oh my gosh, it was exciting, right? It's so exciting. But what does it mean to make this investment, to do certain things just for contracts to fall through? Right. Or, 2020, just when I was just all right, baby girl was hit a stride. Like I'm talking about every weekend, moving. COVID hit. Nothing that I could have done calculated all that I had been doing to just get to the place where I had finally, like, here she go, lost all my business overnight, to have to recover from that and to figure out what's next. And then people weren't ready for the adjustment in the virtual space and speaking, but I had been in virtual space. I've been working from home for years, so I was okay with it. But day after day, we're going to cancel this event. This isn't happening. So people don't see what it really means to continue to stay resilient, even when one month you may make several G's, and one month you may make nothing at all, and one month you may make $700, because it varies. Everybody thinks every business is making $10,000 a month. I'm like, no, not necessarily. That's being in my truth. But then you have those months where you'd be like, I just made in a month what I used to make in a year. And that's
I don't have one.
Okay.
Like, whoa.
Right? And I ain't got to work 12 months. And so, but to bring it home, you just have to figure it out. But the other thing is, you really can't compare your journey to anybody else's. So it's going to be hard, but you got to have the right people around you, the right partner, the right spouse who's going to support you, or boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever it may be, and a family that's unwavering in their belief. People that you can just lean into to keep you together, who can tell you when you've messed up, but then also people who will be willing to let you have your moment and then say, now you need to go do this. Wow. go do this. So, but it's been crazy, but it's a divine assignment. And when something is divine, you can't let up on it, because you're not going to be happy otherwise. No matter what you do, you're not going to be fulfilled, and you're not going to feel the success that you want to feel for yourself, because you're going to be out of alignment.
Yeah. Whew. You hit some. So I want to make sure, again, folks in the chat, make sure that you are asking any questions, right? We got Dr. Evangerlean.
Hey, right? Come on now, eat it. Go ahead, girl. I'll be proud.
And I'm on, I appreciate, because my name Darkilius, right? Like I don't even try to tell people. Like I don't even, it just be like,
oh, I just learned something new though. Yeah. I love that though. That's nice. That's nice.
Thank you. Listen, you talked about, like, all right, the path is not straight and narrow. You need to have a divine assignment, right? I want to hear, like, well, I'm sure folks are probably thinking, like, okay, when did the breakthrough happen?
Oh,
when was it like, yo, okay, God, right? Like, okay, family, okay, community, I hear you, right? When was that moment for you?
It's not a moment, it's several moments.
Ooh, okay.
Several moments. Had one last week, had one this morning. It's, for me, it's coming from looking back and realizing it was supposed to be this way all along. Why did I choose an HBCU? The history, the culture, it was really the history. The first HBCU in the South, right? It was how I felt. But to even go to an HBCU and realize I went because that's what I wanted, not to realize later how significant being an HBCU grad would be at a larger level, and talking to other first-gen students about going to school and why an HBCU was the best fit and why they should seriously consider. When I went to Mississippi back some years ago, I'm losing count now, but after college, I had gone to actually see the young women who became my mentees and closest to me. It was about 5 of them. Every last one of them went to an HBCU. Every last one. Mind you, they weren't even thinking about an HBCU that I'm aware of, but they all went. That's significant because of what culture is cultivated in you, what pride, what esteem, what leadership is going to an HBCU. So then to even be in this work in the first gen space, to be a Black woman, right? The duality, the intersection, to come from a low SES background, when you put it all together and you realize who I've been serving, who's been on my podcast, who's hiring me to speak, they're all me. They're all me. So rather than me running, trying to be something different, people like to me trying to be anything other than who Eve is, you realize it was always supposed to be. Why am I in a Black Greek letter organization? And shout out to the Saras. You know who you are, but all the things. And though I couldn't see it, every woman who's touched me, every Black man who's encouraged me in some way, everything that's happened over my life, even my dissertation, I wrote it on, HBCUs and housing and job satisfaction and job dissatisfaction. I really wanted to, but then it became so passive, Dar, because if I'm too Black, I won't be successful. Black people don't support. And yet, here I am going on 6 years in business. And when I got it good, now I looked at the numbers, who's supporting? And so it's being able to finally see yourself as well. And when you see yourself and you realize who you are, and then you look at all the things you've done and who you've served, it just makes sense. So for me, while I always knew speaking was in the cards, I wasn't always clear that it was first generation and then Black people and even Black women and entrepreneurs, because I never thought about entrepreneurship. So you have to have several moments and be intentional, and you realize it, but to me through reflection. But I think there are things that we're always pulled to that we know about ourselves, but then how we get there crystallizes through experiences. So the big point of being in divine assignment, for me, that's always been speaking. Always. I long to be a motivational speaker. Then I'll fight myself. I'm an entrepreneur, motivational speaker. I'm an entrepreneur. I am a motivational speaker at the core of who I am and what I do. It's always what I loved. But I've been refining that over the years and who I'm to motivate. And as that's crystallized, it's making it easier to clear the path.
Ooh, that you answered a question in the chat. It's like, how did you know that it was a divine assignment? Right. And you talked about that, it's an internal reflection. You have to decide that this is who I am. Very different from what I do. Right. And I see oftentimes, I work with a lot of women, they place their identity in what they do and not who they are.
Yeah.
And so just my own personal experience, right? Like, I went to grad school, lots of women, right? And you would be like, in the first day of class, tell us a little bit about yourself. And usually all the women introduce spouse, boyfriend, whatever, job, right? I oftentimes see a lot of guys are like, they care about, they don't about sports or what they care about, right? And a lot of times that identity is wrapped into what they are doing, right? And so it's like, I only care, I can only see you because you're showing me that what you do is who you are. And I think a lot of guys, myself included, right? We don't have the skill set to say, no, tell me more about you. And not what you do. right?
Mhm.
And so, can you speak to a little bit like, how did you find like, all right, I do all these other things, but motivational speaking is the heart, it's the meat, it's the thing,
Mhm.
right? That gets me out of bed, that makes me me.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about how you found that?
June 2005.
Mm.
Graduation. High school graduation. I'm telling my age now. Fine like wine though.
Hey, watch
But
out now.
I was senior class president at the time, and a part of that assignment was to give the commencement speech. All right, give a commencement speech. And that's when I realized, but going back further, and people from back home know me, like who know me as Big Baby, because I used to rap when I was younger. So I was always on the radio.
Watch out.
And so just the spoken word, I always knew that something about my life was to inspire others, to help others through their hardships and through their darkness, to take what I've been through and to pull people out of that as well. To like, I don't want to say hope dealer, but it's not my term, but it's kind of like, that's what I've looked at it as. But something about that graduation speech. We're in Charlotte Coliseum. We were the last class to graduate from the Charlotte Coliseum at the time. And thousands of people were there, but I felt like I was talking to a little group of people. And to deliver the thoughts and to deliver the reflection, to just have that moment and then to be done with it. It's something I'd never done, but it was so natural. And what I understand from some of the other administrations, something they never seen. Because I even had my whole class rise to their feet and, join me in a song or what have you. And this was high school. And it felt so good. I was like, what was that? I want to do that. I want to do that. How can I do that? I played football in high school for a year. I was JV, but I got to start until I got hurt. I did get hurt by my teammate.
That's common.
but my teammate though.
It be happening.
But I can hold on. But I can hold on though. Yeah, actually, I can hold on. But my teammate, he messed me up that day. But I didn't want to relive that whole. It was a joke. It's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. I'm knocked my ass out. But for what it was worth, though, I had interviews. I was the first girl to have played football. And actually, from my high school, I'm still the only young woman who played football and was homecoming queen. But anyway, did this interview on the radio and I realized, there's thousands and thousands of people who listen to me right now. So I thought radio was the way. So I'd always been trying to find how to use my voice to inspire others, to help others, to share perspective, right? To lift other people up. But it's a conviction, Dar, which I know you understand. It's a conviction, like it just hits you. I know I need to do something with this. And so, but that graduation did it. So much so that I knew in college, I knew in college that the senior class president would give the speech. So I was like, why not run for SGA president? I want to be the senior class president because I want to give the speech. I want to do that again. So what I did in high school, I doubled it and did it again, in college, but at a level that I had experience. And I just knew. So here I was again, thousands of people. And it just was like, this is it. This is it. This is it. And I've been chasing that ever since. So education helped me find it in a way, being in the classroom, being in front of students, teaching, educating, but also getting to the core of your students and pulling out the good in them, right? But helping them through some of the worst. But then now it's like, you spread your wings. So I don't think I've ever felt it on this level, but you just know.
Folks, what I heard, right, is that if you want a divine assignment, you got to go back, right? You got to go way back. Right? No, seriously though, like, because as a colleague in the speaking world, right, with you, I oftentimes talk about, like, I was speaking as a 4-year-old at my Bible school, talking about Yahweh Elohim Yahshua, right? Like early. And of course, like that for me, my talent wasn't shown in that space, right? I cared about, my religion. I cared about understanding and having faith. It wasn't the thing that pulled me to motivate people, right? It wasn't until I was in front of students. And of course, this is 2009. I had never done a diversity training.
Wow.
And yet, I'm the only black male in my position in my department at the time. and I felt like I should be doing a diversity training, right? And so, and the beauty of it was we split the campus into 400 RAs on my end, 400 RAs on the other side. And my students, the students that were on my session, said that they had never experienced a diversity training like that ever. Right?
I believe it.
That let me know I had some kind of, right, some kind of talent, but that was a one situation, right? Didn't train again. A year and a half, when again, my first time teaching in the classroom is about diversity. And so I don't have the words. I did my master's thesis on student giving programs. Like, that's how much I was trying to not be pigeonholed into the diversity guy, right? And then, of course, here we are.
Right? Darn the diversity guy.
Right? And I didn't have the words until I started talking about my mistakes. I started talking about how I needed to grow, how much that I didn't know, the things that were revealed through me through the work. And so it wasn't me teaching students, it was all of us learning how to share our stories through the things that we were reading.
Yes.
Right. And I was the example of that. And students in my class felt comfortable to share their stories, because here's a professional talking about his mishaps with students. That don't never happen. Yeah. Professionals are usually like, they know it all, they seen it all, they done it all. They ain't telling you where they messed up. Like, they feel like there's power in people knowing their weaknesses or they're giving up power, right? When the reality is vulnerability is one of the greatest strategies that you can use to connect, right? To solve problems, to deal with conflict, to collaborate, right? To understand who you really are.
Yes.
Right? Once we are able to be vulnerable with ourselves, we are able to be vulnerable and create communities of vulnerability with others. And that's kind of how doing the good work really started blowing up, right? Like, I'm telling people that I quit my job, took a $40,000 pay cut to teach leadership studies as a full-time dad, husband, and the new homeowner, just got married that year as well. Right? They like, whoa, this dude is doing some wild, crazy, mad stuff, right? This is too much. Right?
Yeah.
And the reality of it is they were putting their fears on me.
Won't they always do it though?
I had to accept that was my journey.
Yes.
In order for me to transform into this person that people love and show up for, like we had over 15 people show up to this live today, right? I had to be a Ph.D. student, homeowner, husband, father, quit a job at the same year, get disgusted almost with the profession, almost left it, to become the man that transforms people into the career-driven individuals that are leaders in industries beyond I could even imagine. I had to go through that.
Yeah, right? It's your journey. It's your journey.
And now today, right, I'm sitting here. My wife has officially left her job, decided that it was not calling her anymore. And she is all confident in making that decision because 5-6 years ago, I decided to make the decision to make this a priority in our life, right?
Absolutely.
Doing the good work had to be something for us, enough foundation for her to stand on to make a decision like this. Now, of course, I had no idea that 6 years later, my wife, 2-time Michigan grad, right, will ever quit a job, right? But this is where we are, and it's because we were willing to make the sacrifices 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to steal the man, right? But
no, I'm with it.
It's a reality. Like, this is a lot of time like you said, conviction. Are you convicted enough to make a decision that's going to scare you?
Yeah.
Right? Into doing what's right in your life. Right? It's scary to do the right thing. Oftentimes, when you're trying to progress and be better, it's scary. It's easy to do the hard stuff. It's easy to do the easy stuff, right?
Absolutely.
It's like, it's super hard to say, nah, I'm going to sacrifice these hours with family, friends, trips, savings accounts, right? Like, it's hard to do that, but you know that if you do it right, you're going to make it in the backside, right? On the back end.
Facts.
But folks are so instant gratification. Oh, well, if you can't tell me that I'm going to make this $20,000 when I start this business, I ain't investing in you. Or I ain't investing in this program. I ain't getting you as a coach. When the reality is,
come on. Now, come on. Keep it going. Come on.
When the reality is, you are afraid of your own success, right? You so comfortable with your lifestyle, what it is now, that you are not willing to sacrifice for your life to be something better, right? And shit, like, I ain't on my high horse or nothing like that, but the reality is, most men that I have encountered who said they want to be in this space, do this work, are not willing to take they pay from $60,000 to $7,500. Right? They're not willing to keep their kid Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so that their wife can go to work, and then you can teach on the off days, right? So you can save on that daycare bill that's damn near a mortgage payment.
Oh man,
right?
And I ain't even got it. I heard about it.
Right? But most people are not willing to go down to one car, right? Yeah. Most people are not willing to take their wife to work and take the kid to school and then go to work. Like, most people are not willing to make those type of sacrifices. And so that's the reality is, if you want $1 million success, you need to make hundreds of thousands in sacrifice. Right? Don't try to make $1 million off $1. It ain't gonna happen.
Don't stop. Don't try to make $1 million off $1. Please, no.
No, keep going. Please stop me.
No, because I'm gonna just go ahead and say it here since we're here, because I'm planning on doing a podcast on this. But you can't expect to make in your business what you're not willing to invest. I'm gonna say that too.
Say that one more time.
You can't expect to make in your business what you're not willing to invest. So far too often, because people think, oh, who does she think she? I guess they think that I don't really know. And honestly, at this point, whatever, because I have worked and read and learned and coached and all kinds of things to even get where I am. And I'm not even hardly where I want to be, right, Dar? And so for you to come and say, I want to pick your brain. Well, what that says to me is that you want to take all that I've invested, time and money alike, energy, all of it, and then go make $100,000 yourself. So you are taking from me, right? Rather than investing in me to invest in you to make $100,000. So when you understand energy exchange, what I get is I'm going to pay you however much for this thing that I'm getting, because the return is greater. Like, even with my friends, I don't mind investing in my friends' products and services and businesses. Even if we talk every day, when I got some questions about something, I'm going to book that consultation with you, right? Because I want that same love coming back to me with people who see the work that I'm doing and want to engage in that. So why do I charge the prices that I do for things? Why the fees what they are? Well, one, it's a company. Two, it's return on investment for that person who, a personal company that chooses to invest. But not just that, I'm not asking for what I haven't spent. Ooh. And a lot of times what is being asked for is just a fraction of 6 years and then Ph.D., the master's degree. Granted, I got my degrees at no cost, right? But I've invested the time and the energy, but in the business, right? To get to the business, I put in the work. So you can't also, Dar, to what you said, beyond the sacrifices, you can't take $1 and try to make $1 million. That's a whole show, because it's going to take a little bit more than that. And it takes time. So even the overnight thing, it looks overnight to you where I am or where you are, Dar, because we've been at it for so long and you've had your head down minding your business, but for 6 years. And then think about how many people show up and, oh, they blew up. How many years were they at it before they blew up? Lisa Nichols, Tony Robbins, or Eric Thomas, or, you know, anybody who we look at now and we see they had to put in the work and they had to keep going and going until like finally. And I'm at a place in my life where, again, while I'm not where I want to be, I've been putting in the work and there are opportunities that are finding me. And I'm like, damn, how you find me? Where did this come from? And I've been watching for a couple of years. Oh, I saw this, or I noticed you did this. And I was like, you know, the group I did, my first international engagement was with a group called Social Nobility. And they are out of London, right? And that group brought together Oxford, Cambridge, King's College, London School of Social Economics. And I know I'm forgetting somebody in that. It was like 5 of them, but I'm like, and y'all found me? How y'all find me? Oh, we came across your social media and just been watching them. Would love to have you come do this. So the opportunities find you, but again, what's that sacrifice worth? And but what is that investment worth? Because I've had to invest in branding. I've had to invest in the podcast. I've had to invest in the school. Nothing that I do free. So I think that's the other thing. So why expect free from me? But that's a mind shift change, because sometimes I mess that word up when I say it. So mind shift change that we have to make to realize it's a cycle. So what you give, you get.
It's so many gems.
Say it.
So many gems, you know, because I know me, and this is why I charge, is because when you sit down with me, you're going to leave with so much value.
Yes.
Right? That if I don't charge you, you'll never feel like you got to pay for it, ever. Right? Like, this, well,
you're not going to do nothing with it. You're not going to do nothing with it. How, Dar, anything that you've ever got for free, what do you do with it?
Put it in a box or leave it in a box.
If the event is free and something come up, do you go?
Nope.
When you invest, it changes how you show up in it.
If you put 1,000 in, you like, I'm expecting.
I'm going to make this money back because I can't lose it.
I need to make this money back.
Facts. Or think of it this way too. When you invest, and here's the other thing about investing, since we got investing, you think that investing means that you solved my problem. You still got to do the work. I can invest all day. I have 3 coaches. One that helps me with my e-commerce business, one with speaking, one with marketing, right? Y'all all help me do different things. And sometimes it's a lot of jumble in my head. It really is, but they amazing, right? They're amazing. They give me the resources. They show me how to do it. I still got to do the work. So you're not excused, but how you show up is different when you invest, hands down.
Because the reality is most people can't afford for somebody to do it for them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, it'd be great if I could train you on how to start and scale and map out your business, right? And also, it'd be amazing if I did that for you, right? I did the market research, I did the competition research, I did the customer analysis, I did the customer service and solution analysis, right? I did all that for you. The reality is, can you actually pay me to do that? Because it only take me an hour to teach you probably like 3 of those things, right? It'd take me 20 to actually do it. And so are you going to be able to afford that? Because the 1 hour is 500, 10, right, is 5,000, 20 is 10,000. So do you got $10,000 to help me build your business? Like,
but you still got to work.
Not
still got to work it.
I help me build your business, right? Not me help you. You help me, or you can pay the $500 an hour to help you, for me to help you, right? Build your business. That is a lot cheaper. And I think people need to have that perspective for real. Like, For real.
My homegirl's doing this thing real quick, Dar. The Black Women Hustle Collective. $500. $500. A tax expert, a lawyer, a marketing expert, and like a business finance planner. Who's 4 women that all kind of crazy backgrounds. A single consult with one of them is like $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I looked at that and I thought, anybody who don't take advantage of the food.
Yo,
$500 to have 4 Black women who changing the game. I'm talking about work is obvious, changing the game. If you don't see that, and if you don't realize $500 is but a fraction of what working with one of them means, wow, you lost your damn mind.
Yo, yo. I don't want to hear another person say, I'm trying to create generational wealth, but not willing to pay $500. I don't want to hear not a nan.
But okay, but $500 though, right? It's $500. People don't have $500. They don't have $500, Dar.
I don't agree.
But here's what I believe. Anything anybody wants, they'll make a way. They'll make a way. Why do people who we generally associate with being in the hood, how can they go afford a pair of $300 Jordans when they may not have certain income? Yo, and that's not to be rude. Yo, but we want, if you want it.
No, you don't gotta say it. Say that.
You make a way. Or so for me, if you really believe in your business and you know you need things, and again, every investment, if it's one thing you learn, if it's one tip, one trick, if it's one system, if it's one something, has it changed your business? And does it have the capacity to? And my line is my 21, she said all the time, scared money don't make money. Scared money don't make money, sis. And I'm like, I just bought this. I just invested in this thing. But the fact is, when you want to step into business, you have to invest in your business. You have to invest in your business, and you have to get comfortable with making different investments and even more investments as you grow. Because there are some people who I know spending $50,000 a year on development alone. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm still trying to get there, sis. I'm still trying to get there. But 100%. The point is, but why though? Because here's what I'll say as well. I know we got to wrap it up.
Oh, your level. It's 1:00. Wow.
Yeah. Like I didn't realize, but I know the level of investment oftentimes it changes the space that you're in. Mm-hmm. It changes the people whose table you're sitting at. It changes the community. It changes the resources. So as you can invest more and do more, it's going to take time, but you still have to pay to play. If I'm being for real, that's why you invest in conferences and invest in presentations. Everything has been an investment. But at some point, there are people who can invest in $20,000 programs with other people who can invest in $20 programs. What kind of income you got that you can invest this, and it's a drop in the bucket? And at some point, it changes the community that you're in, and it changes your ability to scale and to expand. And so, yeah, I know it was gonna go there, but since we did,
you said so many good gems on there, right? How you invest is correlated to the community that you will be in, right? So if you invest $1, you will be in a dollar community.
Pretty much. But if they get you started in the mindset of investing, get started.
I mean, you gotta
start.
Yeah, right. But you better be okay with that $1 community. Don't try to be bigger than the $1 community. And when that's all you got, I think another thing I love that you said is talking about how people have their investing priorities, right? Mm-hmm. Where I see some people's kids' closets are worth more than their business. Talking about Jordans, all that stuff, right? That is a serious problem. I can talk about Black men, could bring it back, shout out to my guy, but having kids out of wedlock, that's an expense, bruh. That's going to take away from you being able to take that child support money and put it into a business or an investment, right? And I ain't saying nothing wrong with having, kids out of wedlock and nothing like that, but I know a lot of cats, 5, 6 baby mom, bruh, you can't build nothing like that.
I never thought about it like that. Yeah.
That's a financial decision, right? I mean, this would be real, right? I can keep going on this topic, but listen, Dr. Eve, yo, the value that you just brought to this space, right? Letting people know that your investment is the way that you elevate, right? It's the way that you affiliate. It's the way that you collaborate, right? I took that from that. I love that, right?
I love that.
How can folks find you, get connected with you? Where should they look for you? And what you got coming out in the ethos that folks should know about?
Well, again, let me just tell you how much I've appreciated and enjoyed being in this space. How organic, like when we first got on the phone that first time, we just chopping it up. Like I just love that. It's a good feeling. And I'm just so proud of what you're doing and how you continue to grow and face adversities and evolve and show up. I see it. You know, we don't always get to talk, but I see it. And I know, like you said, behind the scenes, you know, like I get it. So I'm proud of you for that. And again, just thank you. But as far as finding me on the internet, LinkedIn, I like hanging out there a lot. I've been on Instagram kind of sometimes and Facebook. All are Eve Hudson, Ph.D. and it's EVEHUDSON, Ph.D. But I didn't notice it until like after the fact, right? So, but it works. Then I'll be on Clubhouse every now and then too. But always excited just to be in spaces with folks. And as far as me, continuing to lean in to what I know is Black greatness, Black excellence, and Black first genness. So really looking forward to other opportunities to just speak. I've got people reaching out now. That season, right? So the season for this and for the fall coming up, probably dropping another publication in a couple of months as well. So excited about that, and just pretty much pushing my store, growing my podcast. So focused. I'm focused, man, but I'm finally in a place where I'm focused and lasered in on what I'm doing and who I'm serving, and I'm just magnifying that. That's probably the good, better, best way to say it. But always loving to connect with folks. And I'm just going to go ahead and shamelessly say, if y'all got students who will be the first in their family to graduate from college and go to college, or who are, you know, they'll graduate from high school and go to college, or graduate from college, period, check out the First Gen shop and bless your babies for sure. But that's that. Yes. But again, I so appreciate you, and I'm just excited about where you're headed, Darren. Thank you for the space to be all the things today.
Oh, no, thank you for this space, this opportunity. I mean, you made my mama proud, right? Like that, I can't.
Yay, mommy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Yo, Mindy said, thank you so much, right? Like so many people, cousin said, thank you. This is so, you know, like, I appreciate you. We appreciate you. And of course, keep doing the good work.
I appreciate it.
Folks. All right, family. Hey, we got another one in a couple weeks. Actually, next week, we won't be doing this because my sister is coming in town. We'll be following up the week after with another amazing guest. And always show up on these Thursdays at 12 o'clock. All right, good people.